WagerDate.lv, the premier online sportsbook, taking wagers since 1998. The most player-friendly lines, weekly juice specials, and a true dime line in MLB. Unique casino platforms with thousands of games. Play poker, high stakes, low stakes, or tournament play. WagerDate.lv, what we offer. Free same-day payouts. Customer service and wagering support, 24/7, year-round. Free monthly rebates on your action and daily casino rebates. Contests, free bets, best bonuses, and giveaways. Generous referral program. Get an 80% free play bonus on your first deposit, up to $1,000. Sign up today, and use promo code SPORTSWEB. Remember, you can't win if you don't play.
Welcome to another edition of the evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Wow. It was just Thanksgiving, wasn't it? What am I thankful for? Well, these three things. Bring your passion, bring your excitement, just don't bring any nonsense. Consequently, the Bucs didn't get the memo from a couple weeks ago, coming off a bye week. Did they, Bucs fans? 7-3 and outs on offense is not going to get it done. Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rashard White, Julio Jones, it should be better than this by now. But you're still winning the game 17-10. And in true Buccaneer fashion, as one of my good friends said to me in a text message, the Bucs are in a giving mood because 'tis the season to give. What am I thankful for? The Bucs defense giving up the lead. Letting the Browns go down there and score. Who's the team right now that's competing for a division? Tell me. Is it the Browns or the Bucs? Because I couldn't tell today. I couldn't. Great one-handed catch by David Njoku, which, by the way, bad coverage by Devin White. You go to overtime. What happens? You lose Tristan Wirfs, your best offensive lineman. What am I thankful for? The offensive play calling still stinks on this team. It stinks. What did we learn last week about this team? You know, it's like a Bruce Arians comment when talking about Jameis Winston at the end of the season. There's so much good, but so much terrible with this team. Apply it. Apply what you know. Defense missing tackles. Penalties for this team. Oh, the Bucs should have beat this team. No, they shouldn't have. 9 penalties. What are you talking about? Time of possession. 39 minutes by the Browns. Domination. We talked about the challenge. Not stopping the running game. 100 yards rushing by Nick Chubb. But still, the Bucs are in the game. They have the opportunity in overtime. And what did they do? Who fell down? Was it Carlton Davis? Because Amari Cooper was wide open. Bucs lose in overtime, 23-17, and they deserve it because they gave the game away. By the way, somebody has to explain to me, in the 40 years of watching football, why in the world, when you have 3 timeouts, you don't use one of them before overtime. Coaching 101. I don't get it. Tom Brady was somewhat accurate, but still missing throws at critical times. I'm sorry. If it hurts your feelings, go into the corner. This is not your dad's sports talk show. This is the real deal. This is the evolution. He's missing throws to Chris Godwin, who, by the way, was the only one that showed up on offense. Once again, somebody explain this to me like I'm an 8-year-old, because that's when I started watching football. How do you have a wide receiver and Mike Evans and he only has 2 catches for the day? How? How does that work out, guys? Tell me. Even non-football fans know that Mike Evans is going to be your main playmaker, and you can't find a way to get him the ball? What are we talking about? All this talent. You score 17 points. Ridiculous. 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. Happy Thanksgiving. Merry Christmas, Cleveland Browns. Now you get to put the controls over to your perverted quarterback. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the evolution of Sports Talk Television on this not a victory Monday, although I will be positive. It's a victory because we're all here tuning into it. It's the Sports Web. Once again, I'm your host, Peter Blake. How do we start off this show? Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we'll have Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire of 1252 Chicago Sports, talking not only the Bucs debacle against the Browns. As you can see, I'm still upset about it. You know, I always say this. When the Bucs win, breakfast is better, your significant other is better, your workday is better, but guess what? When they lose, it sucks. So you guys are going to call in tonight. You're going to cheer me up. I'm going to cheer you up. We're going to talk about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Harry the Greek. At 9:30, we will talk with Mr. Jason Powers, Powers on Sports podcast. Of course, No Quarter Given podcast on the buckpower.com network. And then the return of the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty.
How about them Bucs, baby?
Yes, finally. And then, of course, your phone calls. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. So let's get out to these comments. Let's read them. I definitely want to hear from you guys tonight. I know you're not feeling good. I get it. And from the Todd Bowles comments today, they're not getting any better. In fact, you know what? We're not going to waste time with comments. We're going to go out to Todd Bowles and get his explanation on why he didn't call timeouts. Bucs fans, enjoy this. Oh.
The end of regulation. After the 1 yard screen pass to Rachaad White, 17 seconds elapsed. There wasn't a timeout called yet. You had 3 of them. Why didn't you call a timeout there or Tom on the field to preserve some time? You look back and it's hindsight now, but that 26-yard catch by Julio Jones, you had 8 seconds. You could have had 25 seconds with 2 more timeouts there.
Or it could have been an interception as well. We said if we didn't get yardage on the first down on the first play, we wouldn't call timeout. We'd probably let the clock run. If he saw something, he could throw it. But we didn't get any yards on the first play. We got 1 or 2 yards with Rachaad, and we were backed up. So if we had threw a pick and the ball would have went the other way and they'd have kicked the winning field goal, we felt better going into overtime. So I didn't do it.
But he threw the ball on second.
He threw it on second down. He saw something. He got it in there. Then we called timeout. So could have easily went the other way.
Same way, and that's the same reason that one could have been intercepted, right?
Yeah, it could have been. It was a risky throw, but he got it in there. You know, Tom's been making those throws, but we felt good going in the overtime, the way the defense was playing, and we thought we had it right there. So it's just a call we made.
Would it have made any sense? Again, I guess if you're going in overtime, you're going in overtime, but then you could have just taken a knee at that point with 32 seconds left. But after they got stopped on third down, they have one play to score, barring a penalty. Would it have made sense to call timeout after Delonte Davis stop?
It could have been, but we didn't want them to talk about it, so we wanted them to just line up and play and go, so we let it go.
The idea of not throwing an interception, Tom is on a historic pace for not throwing interceptions this year. You've got a quarterback who knows how to protect the ball. It almost seems like a trend for the whole season that you're playing conservative on offense, not to make mistakes as opposed to trying to score points.
I don't think we played conservative on offense at all. You can say that in hindsight about this game, but you don't think about those things as coaches. You make the best decision possible based on everything that's been going on, and you kind of go from there. We had not been moving the football. We had 9 3-and-outs, so it wouldn't have been wise to try to call that one. So I made it. I can live with that, and I'm okay with it.
9 3-and-outs. I'm sorry, I got the number wrong. I actually said on my diatribe 7. It was 9. Well, I'm okay with that. Oh, by the way, Tom Brady's statistics. Again, he hasn't necessarily played his best football, but stats don't lie. 14 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. By the way, Todd Bowles, just 3 weeks ago, in 35 seconds, he went 60 yards. What are you talking about? You're okay? Your offense hasn't played conservative? What am I, in the twilight zone? This offense is absolutely conservative. They've gone down the drain. You go from a team that's scoring 30 points a game that has no problem scoring points in the red zone to a team that can't even score 17 points against one of the worst defenses in the National Football League. You've got to be joking. I'll tell you what, let's get out to Mr. Harry the Greek. Get his intro on. Here we go. I want to say one more thing. There's a reason why NFL general managers and owners don't hire defensive-minded coaches, just for that reason alone. Harry, welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television as I'm fired up here on this reaction.
You?
Always fired up. Your thoughts and comments, because to me, this is indicative. Leo Ward, which by the way, we're going to have him back. Yes, this is indicative of what this season has been. No accountability at all. And then when you ask the question, why did you call those timeouts? Why didn't you do this? Well, we thought our quarterback, who, by the way, has 2 interceptions for the season, would throw one. Make some sense of this. Welcome to the evolution.
14 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. 3,000 yards passing. He's 45 years old, freshly divorced. He's all washed up. Oh, my God. What do I think of it? I don't know. I think we're being a little harsh on Todd Bowles. Yes, he made a bonehead mistake. He really did. But you can't. But hold on, man. You can't just characterize and generalize that all defensive-minded coaches are going to make that kind of decision and say their quarterback, he can possibly throw an interception. I get it, especially with the GOAT, who's probably brought back, Satan from the dead for all I know. I mean, he could resurrect anything with 20 or 30 seconds to go. We've seen him do it time and time again, even in a Buccaneer uniform. It was a bonehead decision. It was flat out.
Well, not only that, but it's not the only one. In fact, this is basically an indictment with Todd Bowles on his conservative play calling, along with Byron Leftwich, who, by the way, running on first down does not work. Okay?
Sometimes.
It does not work for this team. Now, going back to it, facing a 4th and 2 from the Browns' 37-yard line, Bowles opted to take a delay of game penalty and punt the ball away. 4th and 2 at the 37-yard line. You don't even try to go for it. You have these plethora of weapons all on the outside. You supposedly have a running game that's working on the outside when you don't run into the middle of the line, which, by the way, is not their strong suit because the interior of their line absolutely sucks. And you have success running on the outside. You don't do it. You take a 5-yard penalty. which, was consistent all day long because this team, they love to take penalties. They had 9 of them for the entire day. You don't even put your field goal kicker in. You depend on your defense, which, by the way, your defense was on the field for the majority of the game. That's why they were wore out at the end of the game.
Yep, that's another great point that you made there, Peter. But again, I rewatched it and I watched a very short rendition of it. There was maybe 4 plays the entire game where the corners and safeties were peeking into the backfield because they just don't respect the running game. Sorry. White was having a phenomenal game. He had a phenomenal first half. You completely abandon it. I don't have a problem like you do that this team runs on first down. I'm telling you now, Peter, until you get DBs and safeties peeking into the backfield, these are the results you're going to have to get used to, unfortunately.
Well, and I think it comes down to
They don't respect the run game.
Well, they don't
because they're not going to play it.
Successful, but they're doing the same thing over and over again on first down. So teams have started to catch up to it. That's not the only.
That's not necessarily true.
Okay.
Okay, you got to be able to impose your will on teams. This is not the same team from the Super Bowl run. Okay?
I agree.
It just isn't. They can't impose their will on anybody. I mean, I hate to use a 3-win Chicago Bear team, 28-0 to Dallas. They said, "Hey, we're going to run the football, and that's what we're going to do." And they climbed into the game within 3. You can impose your will on teams. Okay, Tampa can impose their will in the passing game. Wait a minute, that's when they had Gronkowski and an offensive line. They don't have that right now, Peter. They don't. And Tristan Wirfs, I got to tell you, if they bring him back this year, shame on him. The guy's hurt. He's best right tackle in all of football. Do not bring this guy back right now. Hate to say it, they're going to make the playoffs this year more than likely. It's going to be by default because this absolute division sucks. But they have to get healthy, and you have to be able to protect this quarterback.
I agree with you. On the following possession, also, Tampa Bay stopped Cleveland on downs. The Bucs faced a 4th and 3 from the Cleveland 48-yard line, and once again opted to punt. For me, if the defensive mindset here, you don't have any confidence in Tom Brady. You don't have any confidence in your offense. I get it. You had 9 3-and-outs, but you got to do something. You got to have confidence in the greatest of all time. You got to get creative. You've got to do something different from what you're doing. And once again, I get it. They targeted Mike Evans 9 times. He only got the ball twice. The timing of those two is baffling. I don't care about the distractions off the field. They need to go to a field, a high school field or something like that.
And go work it out. I get it.
Figure this out because it's either Evans is hurt because he's a tremendous player. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt, with his statistics going for over 10,000 receiving yards yesterday after, getting nothing in that first half, finally capitalizing in the second half. But this is unlike Mike Evans. This is unlike Tom Brady. And in order for this team to go forward, not only do they have to have Chris Godwin in this running game working, they have to have Mike Evans also.
Well, they were doubling Chris, all game long, and that's why Godwin had such a career game. Look, Pete, I'm going to defend the coaching, and I just want you to try. I'm just going to try to give you and the listener something to think about here.
Okay.
You want to know why they didn't go for it on 4th down at the 37, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
They weren't playing a team that was an offensive juggernaut. Number one, okay, that defense had to make a stop. You're correct. They were tired. You could watch them. Their hands were on their hips because there was just way too many 3-and-outs. And let's just face it, man, Cleveland wore them out defensively with their running game, which you and I talked about 2 or 3 days prior to that game even happening, that I said, this is the things that Tampa has to worry about. If Tampa was to run the football consistently in that game yesterday, and this was my analysis prior to the game starting, they would win this game. Unfortunately, I said, because of the stubbornness of whoever's calling these offensive plays is going to go back to trying to pass in the football so much. Look, man, we as fans watch the game from a fan's perspective and looking at it. We see all the fluff, as you might want to say. People don't like to see a running game. They want to see people throwing the ball, chucking it and ducking it, almost like the old Jerry Glanville type of teams. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But when your defense, the opposing defenses do not respect the running game. And I will tell you this team could run the ball with the best teams in the National Football League. They choose not to want to do it because they have Chris Godwin, because they have Scotty Miller and Mike Evans, and oh, by the way, Tom Brady. But gentlemen and ladies, you don't have an offensive line. Get with the program. I don't know what the coaching staffs are watching in these films when I'm picking it out on the film when I'm watching it for handicapping reasons and saying, look, guys, they don't respect your run game. I don't care if they went 5 straight series, Peter. They ran the ball first, second, and third down and went 3 and outs all 5 times. I'm telling you now, it will. I promise you, they will respect that run game. And that's what's going to open up Mike Evans and Chris Godwin's and a Scotty Miller and that passing game. That's my take on it. You can agree with it, you can disagree with it, but that's why I win every week, Pete.
Well, when I'm telling you right now, and you're absolutely right because you did well this week. We'll get into that in a moment because week 12 was definitely.
Sorry to be so long-winded, but it's just very frustrating. It's very frustrating from a fan's perspective. It's frustrating.
Apologies on the sports web for going long-winded. Nobody can go long-winded on this show. This is why I have the show in the first place. If you guys want to talk about the Bucs' disappointing loss to the Browns yesterday, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. To that point, then it doesn't make any sense earlier on in the game to go for 4th down at your own, 33? You get it on a quarterback sneak, and then the 2 4th down possibilities where you can basically put the game away. You decide to punt and depend on a defense that has clearly been on the field more than the offense because the offense's inability to play complementary football. I understand where you're coming from. You only run the ball
Peter,
2 times.
That's when your defense has to turn around and put their hands on their sack and squeeze and say, you know what, I got a pair, and I'm going to tough it out. Shame on the defense for not doing that. They should have stopped them. Let's talk about the Charger game.
Well, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the coach putting his hand on his sack and having confidence in this offense. Let's talk about him having some confidence instead of being a coward and not depending on a Tom Brady.
I can't argue with that, man.
This tells you everything you need to know. Everybody was talking about, what are you going to miss for BA? No risk it, no biscuit. Say whatever you want to about BA because you call players out. But at the end of the day, this offense scored 30 points a game, running game or no running game. 727-255-0391. Let's go out to the phone lines here. Craig from Las Vegas, you're on with yours truly, along with Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire, after the Bucs lose to the Browns. Go.
What's up, my friend? How you doing?
Passionate, as always. How are you doing?
Oh, what a mess yesterday.
When you hear these comments, Craig, from Todd Bowles, does that instill confidence in you that this is going to be the coach going forward here? Even when Brady's gone, this is the next coach for your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't have confidence in the greatest of all time.
No, here's the problem. Yeah, when he said that today, that you may get an interception on that drive. Listen, I'm driving down to Arizona for the game. I may get in a car accident, but I'm going to go, right? It's just ridiculous. For him to say that with all the money the Glazers have spent on the offense to help him out, to get Tom Brady there, the Glazers have to also pull them aside and say, listen, sometimes you have to say, listen, we made a mistake. And sometimes you just got to rip the Band-Aid off and fix it right there. I think today they should have pulled him aside and said, hey, listen, either you go or Byron goes. But for you to say that when we have Tom Brady, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin, you've got more running backs, you've got Fournette. You didn't target K-Dot one time yesterday.
Not once.
And I think they're telling on their plays. Because here's where I think who they are. The play after the Julio Jones deep shot in late fourth quarter with 8 seconds left, they went to Cam Brate on that slant. There were 4 guys around him. Okay. When they did that same play to Cade down.
Yeah, hold on. In that particular play, he also had pressure coming up his face, and he had to throw the ball a little quicker. I just got done rewatching the coach's tape. Look, man, I understand exactly where you guys are coming from. This was a very bad mistake that the coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers made. But I'm not ready to turn around and throw him at the wayside. again, I'm going to say this, and I want everybody to understand this point. They weren't playing an offensive juggernaut. And by the way, this Cleveland team has a defense. Okay.
No, they have one of the worst defenses in the national football.
But they still can get after the quarterback, Pete. This is another situation where you have an offensive challenge team, and that's what makes defenses look suspect. Do you honestly think that the Cleveland Browns defense is that bad after watching them yesterday? Do you really?
I actually
No.
think the Bucs offense is worse. I think the Bucs offense, that there is more of a creative. If BA's coaching this team yesterday, they win that game.
Let me tell you something. If BA was coaching this team, Tom Brady's not your quarterback.
You know what?
And I'm still believing this. That man had something to do with it. He Michael Jordan. Tom Brady became Michael Jordan. You know what I'm talking about.
Right, of course, he may have. And at the end of the day, I've said this throughout this whole process. Maybe just thinking about it, maybe that friction was good for both parties. For Brady to be told no, sometimes it's good. Belichick did it for
I
years.
agree.
Bruce here. So I mean, that's what I'm talking about. And if you don't have the confidence in your offense going forward, then what the hell are we talking about? Go ahead, Craig.
Yeah. If you don't have the confidence, then do you not have the confidence in your line? Do you not have? It's great if you don't have the confidence in the O line, but do you not have confidence in your coordinator to get a 4th and 2? And if you have confidence in your defense, all right, you're still up a full touchdown. All right, you still had a chance to stop them there too.
Right.
And if he's so confident, this defense didn't get any turnovers again. The only one they got was on the INT on.
How are they going to get the turnovers, man? They're not passing the football.
Well, they're not. They're not stopping. They got after the quarterback in the second half. They had 4 sacks, but you're exactly right. They didn't cause any
passing.
A problem. They weren't able to stop the run yesterday because they
can't because they're on the field all day long.
Right, because your offense can't sustain because your coach can't go for 4th and 2. That's the question. I mean, I thought I was listening.
Anybody catch the Charger game yesterday?
I did. I watched it yesterday. Yes.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
both those teams.
There's a team that's fighting for a playoff spot. 2 offensive juggernauts, if you really want to come down to it, because both teams can put up points on the board. That, my friend, took a set of cojones at the end of the game. Your season's on the line. You're down by 1, and you're going to go for 2 to win the game just to avoid going into overtime with the probabilities of having that team get the ball and score a touchdown on you. That, my friend, I thought was literally insane.
Yes.
Hey, he doesn't make it. Guess what? The fans in San Diego and the pundits out there would be doing the same exact thing we are doing right here in Tampa Bay.
But at least they're going for it. At least they're trying. There's
no
urgency.
The Chargers have that tradition of no matter what they do, they're going to cough the game.
Right. I mean,
they also caught a team in Arizona that they fired their coach on the plane ride home, or they fired him before the game.
Great point.
Yeah.
They had a team. They had a team that also quit Monday night on that last play.
Great point.
That team at the end of that game was toast. It does. I think if it had gone overtime, the Chargers would have won. But either way, I think he saw a team that was they had no interest in being out there anymore for another play.
And I'll tell you right now, to make this point, realistically, Todd Bowles doesn't believe in his defense either, because if he did, he would be okay with going for 4th down because he would believe his defense could stop anybody anywhere on the field. You're in scoring position at that point. It's either a 55-yard field goal or you go for 4th down. To me, if you got no confidence and you're showing that to your offensive staff and your defensive staff, eventually what happens is if you don't get enough of offense, that defense starts to wear down, and then people start looking in the locker room and saying, hey, what's this unit doing? Trust me, I remember this all so well when Tony Dungy was coaching. Great coach, great man, but could never get over the top. You know why? Because it was 2 yards and a cloud of dust for that offense. He would always depend on that defense to win games, and sometimes that defense would falter. Oh, by the way, the NFL is absolutely geared towards offense these days. Yeah, you got to play defense, but there's offensive rules for it. That's the reason why you go for it on 4th down. That's the reason why you go for a 2-point conversion. If you truly believe in your defense and have confidence in your defense, then you should have went for it on 4th down in the first place.
Let me make 2 more quick points. Let me point out there's one player and one unit. The special teams yesterday, when Darden had that fair catch at the 20, there was no one within 10 to 12 yards. That's Dexter Jackson 2.0.
Yep, that's
For those
who it
who
is.
remember the Appalachian State draft pick,
Yep.
who was absolutely awful. And number two is, I'm not sure he's built for football anymore, but the secondary is always banged up. But the one guy who's hurt every single game is SMB. He had this unbelievable playoff run. That was great.
Yep.
He was unbelievable. But since then, like, he's allergic to football.
Yep.
Like there's that's another problem too, where, they say your best ability is availability. Well, he's not ever available. And that's another piece that hurts the defense, because you don't want, McCollum in there. You don't want D. Delaney in there. But at some point or another, they got to move on from him too.
Well, and that's the reason why you draft a Zion McCollum in the 5th round. Good stuff, Craig. Anything else?
Okay, I always watch you, Pete. Take care. I know sometimes I can't always call in, but I'm always watching you.
Hey, man, I appreciate you as always. Let me go ahead and give you the Ric Flair.
Woo! Take care, Craig. Take care, Craig.
Open phone line 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Looks like you want to give me an update on that score. What's the update on Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Indianapolis Colts on Monday Night Football?
Minute and 28 to go in the second quarter. As we speak, Kenny Pickett's got the ball at the 30. 2nd and 4. He's scrambling, takes off running, gets the first down. Pittsburgh's up 13-3. Oh, by the way, guess who else picked another upset?
There you go. I'll tell you what, let's go out to the comments, and then we will definitely talk about Week 12 because it was your coup de grace, if you will.
Oh, it was a good week.
It was. Roger Shue says first, okay. I'm going to go ahead and acknowledge
me.
Saint's going to whoop that ass. I'm going to acknowledge you now.
Shut up!
3 steps back yesterday. Absolutely. Can't get past this cloud over our heads this year, but this coaching staff sucks. I agree with you completely.
Offensive line sucks. Offensive line sucks. We wouldn't be having this conversation about a bad defense. We wouldn't be having this conversation about a coaching staff if their offensive line didn't suck donkey balls.
It's a mentality for me. It's a mentality. It really is.
It's
the mentality sucks. It's a loser mentality. You're trying to tell me you don't have any confidence in your offense, namely a Tom Brady. And I just don't. We're not talking about Jameis Winston throwing turnovers. We're talking about Tom Brady, who has 2 interceptions this year. Makes no sense. Wirf is only down 3 to 4 weeks. That was the other big story. Looks like he's not going to play against the Saints. He'll be down for 3 or 4 weeks. This offensive line already putrid. I mean, how do you scheme it now? You're going to have Josh Wells. Who knows who you're going to have at the right tackle spot? I mean, it's only going to get worse from here, right?
Not if you run the football. I keep saying it. All you got to do is run the football. They're going to respect it. It's going to be very tough. But the propensity that this team has right now, it doesn't look good. It actually looks very bleak. They got a very, very tough schedule ahead. It's not impossible, but it's not looking good.
And I know somebody's out there saying, let's go out to Christopher Cole here. Hey, what's up, everyone? Why did they take the entire week off and not even work on some things? I agree with you. I mean, that's another thing. This is about coaching. You're coming off a bye week. You give this team a week off after a big win in Germany, and they come out and do this. That's what it comes down to. Let's go out to Matt here. Coach said he didn't want an interception, so he chose overtime. What exactly? I'm going to do this.
What?
Yeah, I mean, Troy Polamalu fire Bulls. He's only coached because Daddy Arians gave him the job. Matt Colson, Brady wants Godwin to be a star and let Evans be number 2. At least it seems that way. He was targeted 9 times. There's something that's not right. Either Evans is hurt or
Mike Evans again was double covered with a safety over the top. You're gonna float the protection over to your strongest receiver. Brady was taking his outs, looking to the left. Watch the tape, guys. This isn't a Mike Evans thing. Every week, defenses don't respect the run game, and they're taking your number 1 wide receiver out of the game. Run the football, get those corners to start peeking in, and you'll see Mike Evans go nuts.
To that point, your offensive staff has to find a way to get your playmakers the ball any way possible, whether he's double teamed or not. That, again, is on coaching, in my opinion. All right, let's go. Right. Roger Shue. We're both right. That's why we do the Sports Web. Why would Brady want to come back to this dumpster fire? You know, by the way, the Bears lost. So how about this?
Hey.
You want
I'll stop making those wagers.
Listen.
Ah,
Love you, brother.
see, I got you there, buddy.
Roger Shoe, I got to give it to him here. I can't hear you. Is Leo on the other line? Would you shut up?
Shut up!
Let's go out to Go Bucs, fire the coaches. Matt says, and replace them with who? Troy Polamalu. Here we go again. Harry defending the mediocre Stooge Bulls. Roger Shoe says, hi, Greek. Roger, again, they're just plain suck. Thank you very much, Roger. Troy Polamalu, Scotty Miller, who was a man on a milk carton yesterday. We didn't see him after he made some impact in those last couple games of wins. Cade Otton, same thing. I like Cameron Brate, but I think Cameron Brate is hurt. I think you need to go over to the rookie. Once again, design a run play, not the time of runs. There you go. I saw a dozen Bucs fans jump off the Skyway Bridge on Sunday night. My deepest condolences. And probably the reason why they jumped off the Skyway Bridge is because they had to talk to you. Thank you. Melissa says, hey, what's going on, Melissa? Roger Shoe, laugh out loud. Troy Polamalu, Pittsburgh Dynasty. Defending Bulls is like defending Nagy. Go renew your prescriptions, Harry. You want to respond to that jackal right there?
I want to just tell you, not Roger, sorry, Troy, I love you, brother. You're
awesome. They may be the same
man.
people. They may honestly be the same.
No, they're not the same people, man. I'm telling you, he's awesome. I love Troy Polamalu.
Yeah, he brings something to the show. It's all right. Matt says Harry is spot on. The O-line is the mess. Roger Shoe again. Mooney out for the season. Ankle injury. Good. I'm glad.
What?
Shut up!
Yeah.
That is not nice.
It's not nice, but Roger's not being nice, so I'm going to be the same way. Fire the coaches, not the cannons. I fire the cannons. How about that? Jordan, who I'm actually tied with in this pool right now because we're both 13-2, says go Colts. So
wait a minute. Are you 13-2 this week, Pete?
I am 13-2 this week.
I
Somebody giving me some advice. And I believe that Darden was told to fair catch the punt. And for me, I'm tired of Jalen Darden. I've had enough. I said it yesterday. Maybe it's just
kind of like Jalen.
I think I honestly, he's like the old woman from the I can't get up. I've fallen and I can't get up because every time this guy gets a punt, even he has open area, he is falling down like that old woman. I mean, honestly,
or he's making a beeline for the sideline. Hey, man, I need a Gatorade.
Right, exactly. All right. With that being said, let's go ahead and add to this show. Let's go out to Mr. Jason Powers, Powers on Sports podcast. Of course, No Quarter Given podcast on the buckpower.com network. Welcome to the evolution, Mr. Powers.
What's going on, Peter? Harry the Greek.
What are you doing, sir?
Well, I tell you what, let's go out to the phone lines. Now we asked for phone calls. Let's go out to Mr. Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy.
My boy.
Welcome, my friend. You're on with yours truly, along with Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire, and, of course, Jason Powers.
Oh, Jason's in there, too? Hey,
Jason
guys,
is, yes. How are you guys doing?
Yeah.
How are you doing, Ray?
We always have room for a foursome, Ray.
Oh, jeez.
I was going to try to get enough video. I just got off UPS. I can tell you guys what, the Christmas season has started. Today was Cyber Monday. Friday was Black Friday. Packages are rolling.
Why has it got to be black?
You know, I don't need that right now. Listen.
Don't worry. They're coming for that too, okay?
Listen, Christmas started yesterday when the Bucs gave away that win to the Browns. Let's just put it out there. Go ahead, Ray.
What's happening, Ray?
You know, hey, Harry. Jay, I got flack when I said this. Look, I'm down here in Sarasota. A lot going on yesterday, and I'm listening to the game on the radio. Chubb runs 25 yards and puts it inside the 15, so on a 12-yard line. And I'm like, okay, Bucs have a 7-point lead. There's just under 2 minutes left. Buccaneers have all 3 timeouts. The Cleveland Browns had none. And any good coach that I've seen, Bill Belichick, back to Bill Parcells, I got flack today because they said, no, you never call timeouts when you have a lead. You don't, because if the other team has timeouts, you don't want to flip the script and you get the ball and then you go 3 and out and then punt it back and then they have a chance to again at the end. They had no timeouts. If you were sure that your defense was going to keep them from scoring that touchdown or an 8-pointer, which would have put them up by 1, you call the 3 timeouts, you stop them on 4 downs, and then you can have Kyle Trask go out there and kneel down 3 times. When they failed to call those timeouts with just under 2 minutes left and Chubb runs it down to our 12-yard line, That to me, guys, has been a microcosm of this entire season. There's been a lot of things that have been problems with this team, but coaching, there's 99 problems, and you know what? Coaching, that bitch is definitely one.
Jason, want to comment on this? Welcome to the Evolution. I mean, your thoughts on Todd Bowles' comments today and the coaching overall during this season?
I know you and I talked about no quarter given earlier in the year. That one of the concerns I had was how would Todd Bowles handle game management, being the head coach now as opposed to defensive coordinator. I know last year they had a time management person up in the booth that would help advise Arians and such. I don't know if that person's still in place this year with Bowles. I'd be curious to know that. But Ray makes a great point. When Chubb runs the ball to the 12, you have to use all your timeouts there. You have to play both sides of the ledger here. You have to assume you're going to stop them, but you also have to weigh out if they score, we need to at least have 45, 50 seconds left. And even if you have no timeouts, 45, 50 seconds, you can do plenty of damage again at field goal range.
Go ahead, Harry.
I've been talking about it the whole time. I think everybody's putting too much blame on the coaching staff. Nothing personal, Ray. I think he made a bonehead decision there. I think this team's in shambles right now, and I think it all stems from this offensive line. If this offensive line was solid and unified, that defense wouldn't suck, the running game would be better, and I think his pass protection would be spot on.
It's a valid point, but I agree with the coaching. I mean, again, for me, this is the reason why Todd Bowles was fired in the first place from the Jets. He had these type of problems with clock management, and this is the big concern, Jason and Harry and Ray, at the end of the day, with the coordinator becoming the head coach and having all those hats to wear. It's not just focusing on one area. It's focusing on time management. It's focusing on this and that and the other.
How many times did Tom Brady could have called timeout and he didn't during the game? Okay. Come on, guys.
Here's what I'll say, too. The difference between an offensive-minded head coach and a defensive-minded head coach is the defensive-minded head coach always is going to think we're going to stop them, whereas the offensive-minded coach is going to maybe take the position, okay, in case we don't stop them, we need to have time to be able to at least get 30, 40 yards to kick a field goal.
Great point.
Bowles is always in the mindset of we're going to stop them.
Right.
And one of the problems, one of the disconnects for this team is 65 to 70% of the players and 70% of the team that has Super Bowl 55 rings, they had a coach that was go for the jugular, no risk it, no biscuit. Coach Arians would have called those 3 timeouts. He would have left 1 minute and 45 seconds on that clock. And you know what? Let's be honest. In Njoku's catch there, it was a career catch. Even he was covered on that play by Levante underneath and Winfield over the top. But then, and I get the fact of the matter is when you call timeouts, you give their guys a chance to go in and try to come up with and formulate an offensive play. But you also give our defense a chance to catch their breath, to go back to the basics and figure out what they're going to do. And at the end of the day, if they score that touchdown, which buried the lead, they did score that touchdown. We get the ball back. And guys, I don't know if you know this or not, but I think I've heard something about Tom Brady. He's kind of the king of fourth quarter comebacks, him and Peyton Manning. And
absolutely.
Why wouldn't you want to give it back to Tom Brady? And the rest of your team, this is the microcosmic problem with the coaching this year, Harry. I'm not saying it's fundamental coaching. I think that they're still being fundamentally coached right. But when they're having issues through the season, they look over and Todd Bowles has got his arms crossed like, holy shit, I don't know what I'm doing here. And then when you have a game like yesterday where Bruce Arians would have called those timeouts and given us the ball back with 1 minute 40, you've got half the guys on his team when they start thinking that they're packing it in from the top, whether they mean to or not, but subconsciously they give that feeling. It's hard for these guys to maintain. There's professionals on both sidelines. You've got to have that jugular. You've got to have that kill mentality. And I'll be honest, Coach Bowles is a great defensive schemer, and he's a good leader of men. I respect him as a father and as a man. Great guy. But as a go for the jugular kind of guy, just seems like he's too kind, doesn't know how to work that offensive side of the ball and bury the lead. Byron Leftwich does not know how to go for the jugular either.
Yeah.
You know what? You're absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Ray, you are spot on with that comment. And I have a question for Ray. You don't mind, do you, Peter?
Sure, go for it.
This team is 5-6 right now, and the status of this team with the uncertainty with Tristan Wirfs and Jensen and the way, truthfully, I mean, I look, the rest of the offensive line, where do you see this team finishing this year? Don't be a fan. Give it to me straight.
Actually, I look at Atlanta now, and I know Atlanta's our last game of the year at Atlanta. And now I'm starting to look at this NFC South, and I'm thinking if these Buccaneers play like they played yesterday, uninspired and seemingly with no game plan, then I have a really bad feeling that game at the end of the year, that Atlanta Bucs game is going to be flexed into a primetime game or a 4 o'clock because it may end up being the game that decides which of the crappiest teams, not from the NFC least, but from the NFC mouth, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, which of these teams backs into the playoffs and gets to host the first round? If the team that showed up yesterday in Cleveland, like the Cleveland, 30th in defense. The same thing against the Pittsburgh this year with Pickett at quarterback, never thrown a ball in the professionals in the regular season. If the team that showed up yesterday, and I'm not saying that Cleveland has not got a decent team. I've been afraid of Myles Garrett, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. I'm afraid of this team. But the fact of the matter is, with decisions that were being made yesterday, I find it's going to be a long to keep these guys motivated the rest of the season. Now, I'll tell you what, guys, I'll finish with this and I'll let you guys go. And good to talk to you, Jason. But tonight I was listening to a podcast. It was an old podcast, but it was a podcast. And actually, it was this week. It was Sean Payton, and he was on with Cowherd. I was listening to Cowherd's podcast. And I'm like, wait a minute. Didn't Sean and Brady almost get together in Miami a year or so back? Won't Peyton possibly be looking for a coaching job? Do you think Tom Brady would consider going an extra couple of years if he thought he had Sean Payton coming in here, an offensive-minded coach? I wonder if Bruce Arians would be on board with that because he sees how dismantled this team's become under this current coaching regime.
Well, as much as a good
point
that is, at the end of the day, the Saints still own his rights, and there's no way the Saints are going to basically trade away Peyton to the Bucs. And if they do, it's going to be for multiple picks. I don't see it happening, but I definitely understand it. Great stuff, Ray, as always. Let me give you the Ric Flair.
Woo!
Definitely.
Hold on, Ray.
Yes.
Over or under 500 for this division?
I'll tell you what, Harry. It's gonna all depend on what happens Monday night against the New Orleans Saints, because the New Orleans Saints are still a team that has our number. But the game is here. It's Monday night. That Dennis Allen defense scares me. If this Buccaneers team bows up and beats the Saints as they should, and they already have once this year, I'm going to go ahead and I'm still going to say I like them to go at least 9-8 or 10-7. But if this team loses to the Saints and then they have to go out to the West Coast to play Candlestick against the Niners, coming off a loss to the Saints, this team may not win 2 more games the rest of this season.
Wow. Good stuff. Powerful
Thanks,
stuff
fellas.
there. Yep, absolutely. Great stuff from Tampa Bay.
Great phone calls today, bro.
Absolutely. They're bringing it. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Yes.
Let me compound something that the mistake, the additional. When you don't call the timeouts before Cleveland scores, you have to call timeout after first down when the Bucs get the ball back.
Yeah.
Again, we understand he made a mistake, but you can't compound it by making another mistake by taking the ball out of Brady's hands yet again on the backside when the Bucs still have a chance. Because again, if you get one more 10-yard completion, that field goal is a 50-yard field goal instead of a situation where you have to throw a Hail Mary at the end. So I didn't like how you compound the mistake by not calling timeout again on the back end when the Bucs do get the ball back.
And I hate the explanation. The reason why I didn't call a timeout is because, in so many words, I don't believe in Tom Brady because he's going to throw an interception. Once again, going back to the statistics, 14 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. We're on with Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire, 1252 Chicago Sports, who did quite well yesterday. We'll get to it.
You think?
Mr. Jason Powers, Powers on Sports podcast, no quarter given of the buckpower.com network. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Want to read some of these other comments from I Love St. Pete. Sitton says, we suck. What's up, Peter Blake? Ben Cornett says, players and coaches on the Bucs staff are all responsible for this. No accountability from the captains from this team either. It's just been disappointing so far with this much talent. Injuries aside, they shouldn't be 5-6. A great comment by Ben. Let me go out to the phone lines. Mr. Roger Shue, the tribal troll.
Acknowledge me.
Welcome to the Sports Web. What do you have to say, my friend?
All right. Well, Harry the Greek, first of all, 2 things to guarantee a Buccaneers win on Sunday. Peter Blake does the moonwalk on camera, and Tampa Bay Ray wears the half shirt from the pool.
You know what? You are an idiot.
Shut up!
All right. What else, Roger?
That's all I got. So stop moonwalking, Pete.
See, we had a great string of calls, and then that guy calls in and does this.
I thought it was phenomenal. It's a great call, Roger.
All right. Ben says, by the way, Harry Berg, great call yesterday. Right.
What?
Ben, again, no excuses for yesterday, but I don't get why the boot didn't signal to refs to review the catch out of bounds by Evans, who actually had both feet in bounds before he fell out of bounds. Not saying it would have won or lost the game, but that was huge when they didn't at least review it. You guys saw that play where Evans basically, in my opinion, is getting interfered with, catches the ball over the defender. It looks like he has both feet down. It's under 2 minutes. Believe it's before halftime. And once again, they don't review it. Make some sense of this, Greek.
Nope, you can't. Welcome to Cleveland. That's the sense you're going to make of it.
Jason, should they have reviewed this, looked at it, and why didn't they review it, in your opinion?
I'm gonna say, here's my question is gonna be: how much did the Buccaneers sideline go? Usually, the Buccaneers sideline, if they think it's a catch, is going to go nuts with the officials on the two wing officials, and then usually that word gets back to somebody before you snap the ball the next play. So I'm going to, again, should the NFL have reviewed it potentially? But usually if the Bucs were overly confident that was a catch, they get in the ear of those wing officials, and those wing officials typically, and if you want to, if you're Todd Bowles, call a timeout.
Yeah.
Stall, which gives them then the league more time to look at it, then you potentially review it. So part of it's on the Buccaneers sideline. If they really thought it was a catch, they should be in the ear of the officials saying, hey, let's review this. We think it's a catch.
And the BA were on the sidelines. He'd be right in the ear of that referee. He'd definitely be trying to make something happen. That is the difference. And I get it. Todd Bowles, great guy, great defensive coordinator. But once again, I have lots of doubts now if he's going to be the next head coach. He's the head coach of the team, but the head coach going forward for this team to win.
Harry and Peter, did you guys discuss the Bucs punting 4th and 2 at the 37 with 9 minutes to go?
Yes, we did. We absolutely did. Okay.
That's again, that was step one of the disastrous start there. I mean, you have to go for it there. And if you're Tom Brady, like Manning's done to Tony Dungy before, wave the punt team off the field. Seriously.
Yeah.
In all seriousness.
Yep. Harry, I know you got to run here in just a little bit. You got to get back to handicap and watching games. Week 12, man. Tell everybody about it. 13-2. I mean, how great of a week was it for you, my friend?
Oh, God, I think it was pretty good. Let's just go through the games. Remember when I told everybody don't bet the Dolphins games?
Yeah.
They barely covered because they were playing the Texans. Remember that? They covered by 1 point. Think about that. 14-point favorites.
Right.
Up 30. 30.
I'm sorry?
They were up 30-0.
I know that, but it was almost a backdoor cover for Houston.
Right.
I told everybody my game of the week was the Jets to cover the 6.5 against the Bears and go over to 38. That wasn't one. How about the Falcons and the Commanders? And I said the Commanders, forget about it. Just put them on the money line. This is easy money. They win. Let's go down the list here, gentlemen.
Yes, do it.
Broncos at the Panthers, another home underdog. I have to remind people, home underdogs are the way to go. Panthers win the game outright. Don't even take the points. How about this one? One of the biggest upsets of the week. The mighty Ravens are heading to Jacksonville. Took the Jaguars. Absolutely. It was like it was nothing. Just because you had to sweat some bullets at the end of the game to win, not only did they cover, they won the game outright. And I told everybody about the 88% rule.
Mm-hmm.
Never, ever, ever play a road team that's 2.5-point favorites on the road. Not 2 or 3, 2.5. Because 88% of the time, the home team either covers or they win. Thank you for not playing the Charger game versus the Cardinals, because the Cardinals did cover that. Never played it, told everybody to stay away. How about the Rams and the Chiefs? Here's another 15.5-point favorite. I said, stay away from the game. Why? Because it could have been disastrous. The Rams covered by 0.5 point. The Saints at the 49ers. The 49ers were 9, in some cases, 10-point favorites. A field goal, and you don't cover. Another game. Told everybody to stay away from them. Here's another winner. I love this one. Packers and Eagles. Love it.
Right. Green
Bay sucks. Oh, it just rolls off your tongue so nice that Green Bay sucks.
Yes.
But the Packers, I mean, my goodness. I said, hey, if you want to get creative, take Philadelphia minus the 6.5. But you want to make money, just play the over. Hell, man, it was just past halftime and the game was already over. That's another win. And for tonight's game, I love the Steelers catching 2.5 points. And they're winning right now at halftime. Unfortunately, the 2 games that I did lose, guys, the Titans at home. Again, another home underdog. And yours truly, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers minus 3.5. Not bad. Not bad.
Not bad at all. And I will give you credit because I absolutely killed the coaching staff. I'm still going to kill this coaching staff, but they were able to run the ball with Josh Jacobs yesterday. That would be the Las Vegas Raiders with the upset over the Seahawks.
Wait a minute. Huh. Who else was busting my balls about the Raiders yesterday, huh? The Walmart coaching staff. I was like, guys, get off of Josh McDaniels' jockstrap here, okay, guys? He's fine.
It's a terrible thought.
Oh, that was a terrible, terrible pick. I'm laughing all the way to the bank.
Yes, you are. All right, good stuff there. Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire. We'll get you out on that. Go ahead and promote yourself here on the Sports Web.
You can catch me right here on the Sports Web, the co-host of Mr. Peter Blake of Tampa Bay. Also, you can catch me on my own show on 1252 Sports, Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central. We go through all the games with Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, one of the two giant goofballs with Mr. Andrew Davis and Mr. Peter Blake. We do kind of a little roundtable thing. We have a little bit of fun. Ray kind of jumps into the swimming pool, and trust me, we never leave any stones unturned. Right, Michael? I mean, Pete?
Absolutely. All right. Thanks a lot for your time there. Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire at 1252 Chicago.
Jason, take care of yourself, buddy. Keep him in check, would you?
See you, Harry.
Good night, gentlemen.
We always keep each other in check. There you go. All right, we'll come back here to Jason Powers on Sports Podcast. No Quarter Given podcast, of course, on the buckpower.com network as we are awaiting the return of the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty. With that being said, let's go out to these comments and we'll talk more Bucs football here with Mr. Jason Powers. Let's see here. The Browns weren't given it. They earned it. Laugh out loud. Peter, do the moonwalk for good luck for the Bucs next week. Not happening. It's odd seeing Brady's team be the least successful in the state. Absolutely. And Christopher Cole says Brady was 2-18-0 when his team has a 7-point lead with 2 minutes to go. Not anymore. Make some sense of that at the end of the day.
I mean, I know we're killing Todd Bowles and he deserves to be killed today. But just remember, they had to make a one-handed catch on 4th and 10 to tie the game. I mean, when you look at it, the guy made an unbelievable play to tie the game. I was surprised Cleveland didn't go for 2 to win. To be honest with you, I was fully expecting them to do that. But again, Todd Bowles, we talked about it. The game management side of things is what makes you nervous about Todd. His conservative nature as a defensive guy has shown up multiple times this year. And yesterday it was really compounded about how conservative he is. And again, like I talked about, most defensive guys are conservative. They always think their defense can stop them. They think that the conservative way to go is to not be aggressive. And that's the one thing I think Todd is really missing in his coaching repertoire is that killer instinct on the offensive side.
I agree with you. And I did not hit this spot while I'm doing it, but we got a new sponsor here, uwager.lv. Promo code SportsWeb. You get an 80% bonus if you want to wager on the National Football League, on NBA, on hockey right now. Once again, uwager.lv, promo code SportsWeb. Once again, go ahead and do that. No comments here from I Love St. Pete. Of course, give to the calls too on Facebook with the Facebook stars and YouTube chats as we're live here on I Love St. Pete, the hub and Amped Up Sports. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Jason Powers on Sports Podcast. Yes, Jason.
Not a good day for Donovan Smith either yesterday. I know obviously Tristan got hurt late, but Donovan in the fourth quarter and overtime was not good at all in the pass protection. He, I know you and I have talked as well. I think this will be the last year Donovan Smith's a Buccaneer either way, no matter who's the quarterback next year. I wouldn't like, and I think I've told you this. I think Tristan Wirf's going to be your left tackle next year.
Well, and yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that because we've seen Donovan Smith play, at a high level, play better. And then once again, I always go back to these comments from BA when he wants to knock the hell out of somebody, he loses technique. I thought for the majority of the game, he did a great job against Myles Garrett. But at the end of the day, if you continue, and this goes on coaching once again, if you continue to put Donovan Smith on an island versus a Myles Garrett, you're just asking for it at the end of the day. I just don't understand how you're scheming it. You're not chipping a running back. You're not chipping a tight end to help him out. because we know that at some point he's going to falter. And he did yesterday. And basically it cost the Bucs an opportunity to score points once again in the red zone. Or you have a stupid penalty that
the hands to the face. The hands to the face was not. Yep. And again, I'm not going to kill him for that. I'm not going to kill him for that one. But I mean, again, we're paying Donovan a lot of money. He's in the upper echelon of tackles getting paid, left tackles.
Yeah.
So you have to trust him on an island to some degree, but you can't every single time with Myles Garrett there. You can't put him on the island every single time. You got to mix it up if you're Byron Leftwich in the blocking schemes.
All right, what else did you see from this game yesterday that we didn't cover? Because we covered the penalty situation. I thought Brady for the majority of the game also was accurate, but for some reason, there's no chemistry between Brady and Evans. He was targeted 9 times, only caught the ball twice. He goes over 10,000 yards career, but besides that, really no factor versus a rookie. And I've seen one-on-one coverage in this game. It wasn't just double coverage. You saw one-on-one coverage. Brady missed him. Evans stopped running. I mean, they got to get this together because Evans has to be a part of this offense in order for this offense to work.
I worry about Evans' ability to get separation. He looks like he's lost a half a step. I don't know if he's got an injury, something, but he just doesn't look like he's right physically. Again, he's never been a burner, but he's typically been able to be a decent enough route runner to create some separation. I didn't see any. He had the one comeback route yesterday where he was pretty open, but I mean, I didn't see much to any separation on any of those go routes. Any of the, they threw 3 or 4 balls down the sideline, and I mean, it wasn't even close that there was any separation. I mean, and again, I'm not gonna excuse Tom either. Tom missed a couple throws. He missed Godwin up the seam the one time for would have been about a 30-yard play that Brady hits. I'm not seeing much separation out of the tight ends. Again, where's Cade Otton gone? You're seeing Cam Brayden there a lot. Let's give Cade Otton a higher percentage of the snaps than Cam Brayden. I know Cam's the veteran. He's the guy that I guess Tom likes, but Otton has shown he can get open and catch the ball.
Absolutely. If you want to comment on anything having to do with the Bucs, the comments from Todd Bowles or the game performance, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. You're exactly right about Otton. I don't understand why he's not more a part of this offense. I get it. Cam Brady is your starter, but it certainly seems like he's beaten up. And like you talked about it, he's not necessarily getting the necessary separation for this team to work. I saw yesterday with Brady taking a sack. It looks like Godwin got a little bit of separation. Brady holds on to it. That offensive line gave up 3 sacks. There's just so much there that you can like, and there's it's all overshadowed by mistakes and penalties and bad coaching and clock management. And the defense, the majority of the day, played well, but they got wore out because even Todd Bowles mentioned it. 9 3-and-outs, Jason Powers. I don't care what type of defense. If you have the 85 Bears, the Bucs defense from 2002, the Gravediggers from 2020, you're not going to be able to shut an offensive team down. Eventually, they're going to score points because that team is wore out.
And what continues to bother me is that we still continue not to see any kind of up-tempo offense. I'm not saying you have to do it the whole game, but when you're into that kind of stretch of 3-and-outs, speed up the tempo a little bit. That doesn't mean you have to throw it every down. Speed up the tempo, limit the ability for the defense to substitute, speed up the tempo a couple times a game for a couple drives here and there. I just don't understand. And it's been proven that Tom excels in the Buccaneer offense. Gets a little more life when there's a little bit more of an up-tempo approach. That's the part that just drives me crazy that they've not, and I don't know if that's an edict from Todd Bowles that, hey, we don't want to up-tempo it, but man, you got to do that.
Yeah.
Once in a while, every team in the league's doing it. And give him credit. He showed a little creativity on the little toss reverse play that he ran to Julio. I like that. Where's more of that? Let's get more of that involved, more misdirection kind of stuff.
I agree.
That kind of stuff involved is what you got to keep the defense from the predictability of that we're going to run the ball when we do run the ball, it's always going to be in between the tackles. And I understand. And again, the quarterback sneak is pretty much a non-factor in the offense anymore. That the 3rd and 1 that we got stopped with Rachaad White early in the game, that is a prime Tom Brady stick his head down and you get a yard and you keep the team on the field. That part, I don't, and maybe that's Tom Brady. I don't know if he's telling Byron, hey, bro, I don't want to be doing this quarterback sneak anymore. But come on, man, you got to institute that in the game plan.
No, I agree with you. And you could see, at the end of the day, when you go for fourth down early on before halftime, you get that fourth down conversion because you do sneak it. I got to get this guy on. I don't have his intro music. I don't know where it's at. I don't know what happened. But the legend returns here to the evolution of sports talk television. I miss this man. He's like a father to me. He's going through so much. I'm just glad that he's back here on the evolution of sports talk television. Mr. Leo Haggerty, welcome back to the Sports Web. And I got to get your thoughts. First and foremost, my friend, how are you doing?
Well, today was the first of 35 radiation treatments. And Peter, I'll be honest with you, it's since September 23rd when they did the cancer surgery on my throat and neck. It's been an ordeal. It's been a marathon. Had 21 days in the hospital, caught pneumonia. You name it, I got it. And I got one more hurdle. I got 34 more days of radiation, and I'm going to ring that bell.
Yes, you are going to ring that bell, my friend. I'm going to fire the cannons for that. I love you, brother.
Peter, how do you like the new look?
I do. Listen, I like the new look, and I got told basically the reason why the Bucs are losing right now, Leo, is because I shaved the beard. So maybe we'll grow the beard together, and when you ring that bell, then I'll shave it. Maybe we'll do that. How about that?
That's a plan.
All right. All right, so I got to get your thoughts here. Disappointing loss by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Browns, and just kind of a disappointing season at 5-6. Give me your overall thoughts about the Bucs here in 2022.
Well, let's start with the major one, Peter. The quarterback ain't playing real well. Let's be honest. It's he's not being Brady-esque, and the last 30 seconds was an abomination. They're blaming that on the coaching staff. Tom Brady should have just turned around and taken a timeout. That the fact that he's trying to gather people and the clock is running, I'm shouting at the TV, hey, Tom, take a timeout. What do you think? It's obvious he's not totally mentally into the game if he missed that. And again, Peter, we've talked about this way too many times. When a quarterback goes south, he goes south in a hurry. We don't know what happens to a 45, 46-year-old quarterback. This is uncharted territory. He missed a lot of easy throws yesterday. And again, it's the fact that they only scored 17 points. There's a disconnect all over the place with that offense. And the bottom line is, where was Otten? Did he even make the trip?
Yeah, I mean, Otten, Scotty Miller. I mean, both of those players were big time factors in the last couple of games, especially with Cade Otten in the Seattle, and of course catching the winning touchdown. And the thing that bothers me, and I was talking to Jason Powers about this, and also Harry, and he was defending Todd Bowles, but Bowles got fired from the Jets because of the clock management situation. And today he comes out and says the reason why we didn't call a timeout is because we were scared that we would throw an interception. That basically tells me you don't have confidence in Tom Brady, which, by the way, Leo, 14 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and just 3 weeks removed from moving this team down and 30 seconds, 65 yards versus the Rams to win. What are we talking about here with Bowles?
I can't believe someone didn't ask a follow-up, because, Peter, I had my hand up right away and said, wait a second, you're afraid of the GOAT throwing an interception? That doesn't ring right. So,
and yet on second down, they let him throw a 18-yard corner route to Julio.
Yeah. It makes no sense. Nothing at all makes sense about this team this year. All the distractions off the field. All right, let's get to it. We'll get off the game for a moment. We'll go on to Tom Brady. He was on the Let's Go podcast tonight in care of JoeBucksFan.com. He says, look, losing is hard for all of us, but I'd rather lose and play than not play at all. I love playing. I love competing. I love trying to be a little bit better every day. I love going out there with a sense of purpose to try to get better. And ultimately, I love trying to play at a championship level for my teammates. And obviously, there's challenges every year. Everybody has unique challenges, on and off the field. You work as hard as you can with the circumstances that are presented before you. We're just going to keep fighting until the end, and we'll measure by what happens over the course of a long season. Your thoughts on those comments? First, you, Jason, then I'll go out to you, Leo.
I think he's setting up the stage to play again next year.
But for who? I mean, is it? I mean,
here's what I think.
Comments. Does this make you think that Brady's going to embrace that and say, "Hey, wait a minute, coach, I'm the greatest of all time. You have a problem with me throwing the ball? You think I'm going to throw an interception?"
I have a hard time believing Tom Brady's going to go play for a third team. I don't think he wants that end of the career reputation that he's a team, a team jumper, going from team to team to team here at the end. I think wouldn't shock me if Byron Leftwich is no longer the coordinator next year. Whether he gets another head coaching job somewhere, whether it's a college job or maybe he probably's not getting a head coaching job in the NFL. But I don't think Tom Brady, if he plays next year, is going to play elsewhere other than Tampa. To be honest with you,
Leo, what do you say?
Jason, I'm going to have to vehemently, that's the SAT word.
Very nice, teacher.
Disagree with you, but for one thing, there hasn't been a quarterback in the National Football League that has won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different teams. I truly think you're going to see Brady jump to the 49ers because for some reason, they don't trust Garoppolo. All he does is show up and win and get you to the playoffs and get you to the championship game. I mean, it sounds like, remember when the Eagles went to 4 NFC championship games and couldn't go any further? They went one time. I just think that this is the last hurrah in Tampa, that Tom's not coming back here. If he would, he'd have signed a contract by now. So again, I just don't think if he plays next year, I think he'll play somewhere else.
Okay. Who's more to blame? Because we've been debating this with Harry. He says the offensive line is the blame. I say it's coaching. Some people out there say Brady hasn't played necessarily at a high level, but who's more to blame at this juncture, in your opinion, guys? I'll go out to you, Jason, then we'll come on to you, Leo. Is it the offensive line? Is it coaching? Is it quarterback play? Is it defense? Which is it? Which is more to blame at this juncture?
I think there's equal to go around. I think the offensive line was okay yesterday. I mean, the pass protection for the most part was good. I know he gave up a couple sacks, but again, that was late. That was third and long situations that he gave up sacks. I thought the protection was pretty good. I think Brady missed some throws, like Leo commented. He clearly missed a couple of throws, and for whatever reason, I think the wide receiver core. I think Evans is looking old. I hate to say that. I think Mike's not showing the separation that he has in previous years. Again, I don't know if there's an injury that we don't know about. And again, defensively, Carlton Davis, you can't fall down. He fell down.
Yeah.
You can't fall down. You're a $15 million a year quarterback. You can't fall down at the most critical moments.
Leo, what do you say?
All starts and finishes with the offensive line, gentlemen. And Peter, we talked about this at the beginning of the year. When Ryan Jensen went down, that became a huge hole because now you're trying to replace 3 guys. Kappa leaves, Marpet retires. You got 3 new guys in there. Now Wirtz has a high ankle sprain, so going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But I think it's the offensive line.
Definitely going to be interesting to see there. I know, Leo, right now you're kind of dealing with some things. So if you would like to go ahead and finish out here, because I know, or you around for a little bit.
Yeah, I can hang around for about 5 more minutes. Then the voice is going to say good night.
I'm going to tell you right now, this guy is a warrior. This is the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty, former Coach Scott and now media member of Night Sports Productions, Amped Up Sports.
Hey, Peter, can I throw out a question to you 2 guys?
Go for it.
Would you bet your mortgage on any 2 teams getting to the Super Bowl right now?
No.
I'd be afraid to even name 2 teams right now. I don't think mediocrity. I think you got 6 or 7 teams at the top. And again, those days of being, 16-1 or 15-2. Now the Eagles may do that, but they got a road grader coming up in their schedule. But I just couldn't tell you right now, okay, these 2 teams are going to Super Bowl. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say right now. You know, I thought it would be the Bucs. They would be in contention the way they played their injury situation. It's very doubtful at this juncture. I'm not ruling it out because you always have Tom Brady, and who knows what can happen. And at the end of the day, all you got to do is get in and start going on a run. But yeah, you got Philly. You would have to say you're also put Dallas in that conversation. I don't think the Giants can do it, but they do play somewhat good defense. They do run the ball. You got Kansas City there, of course. Tennessee's in the conversation. I think Cincinnati's in the conversation. Of course, the Buffalo Bills being in that conversation. You're exactly right. Parity is prevalent. We forgot San Francisco. They're in the conversation.
And you forgot the Vikings.
Yeah, Vikings. I mean, talking about them because defensively, they're so bad. And Kirk Cousins, when it comes to primetime football, is so awful. But they're also in that conversation. So, and then the Miami Dolphins and the Jets. At the end of the day, it's not just in the season. Mike White yesterday throws for 300 yards. Let's go to that really quick, Leo. How do
real quick?
Yes.
I know we are all down and out on the Buccaneers as a got no chance.
Sure.
But as you and I and Leo know, in this league, it only takes about 3 good weeks of football. It's usually the hot team in the playoffs that usually gets to the Super Bowl. It's not rarely is it the 1 seed. Many times it's the hot team. And I know we're down on the Buccaneers, but if you can put together a 3-week run at the end, and their schedule opens that up to do that with Carolina, Atlanta at the end, that's all you got to do if you're the Buccaneers. Forget the record. You're going to be the 4 seed. Get to the 4 seed. If you can win that wild card, would you not think the Buccaneers could beat the Dallas Cowboys in Raymond James Stadium? That's a 50-50 game.
Not the way they're playing right now.
Right now, but there's still 6 more weeks. Sure. And again, there will be another injury or two significantly to somebody in the NFC where they're going to lose a big player.
And you know what, guys? If Ryan Jensen comes back, and that's a big if.
It is.
That changes the whole dynamic on that offensive line. And again, I'm not throwing Hainsey under the bus, but what it does is it allows him to be that backup at all 5 offensive line positions. That'd be huge.
That would definitely be huge. One question here from Justin Sean Parks, a big-time Bucs fan. Why would he go to San Francisco? His kids are here. That just doesn't make sense. But who knows? I mean, I don't know. I
think that's part of the equation, too.
Right.
He's got a son that lives in New York, and Giselle and the other 2 are in Miami, apparently.
Right.
I have a hard time believing him being on the other side of the country. We say what we want. The logistics of that, to see your kids during the season, is next to impossible.
It really is. But at the end of the day, you also have to factor in the San Francisco 49ers are kind of on the doorstep at this juncture. Jimmy Garoppolo may be holding them back. They have the talent. And, of course, Brady has grown up to be a 49er fan. So nothing is out of the realm of possibility. Leo Haggerty, let me get you out of there on this. Go ahead and give me your final thoughts here on the evolution of sports talk television, my friend.
Well, let me jump over to college football real quick.
Please do. Because there is a Michigan fan out there that everybody would know right there. Miss Sandra Nagel, my mother, is a family affair. She was absolutely so excited about Michigan beating Ohio State, putting it in the Greeks' face. What were your thoughts on that game? Michigan basically in the first half, 10 yards rushing. Second half, completely and totally different, much like what happened last year, rushing for over 180 yards.
Yeah, embarrassed the Buckeyes at the shoe. That doesn't happen too often. What it did was it put Georgia, Michigan, and TCU, they're in no matter what happens Saturday.
Wow.
If USC wins, they're the 4th in.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't, here's where it gets real touchy.
Yes.
I think they put Alabama in, and I will cry, and I will demand that everybody on that committee resign. They're not going to put Ohio State in. You can't.
Leo, let's be honest, Leo. Who would you bet if it was Alabama and Ohio State on a neutral field? Who do you think wins the game?
Where's it being played on a neutral field?
Neutral field. Arizona. Pick it.
Arizona. If it's in Arizona, it's going to be Alabama. You put them up in Wisconsin.
But it's not. But
I think Ohio State wins. I think the weather becomes an issue with these Southern teams especially in January. But I'll tell you what, guys, you can't. USC winning ends the conversation.
Yes.
If either one of those three teams lose and they get pumped out, that would be a travesty. And again,
I think if TCU got blown out, Leo, there would be some discussion.
Not if you're 12-0. And again, you're playing that 13th game. My thing is, if you're not in championship Saturday, you can't be in consideration because you're getting a rest. And that's not good.
Speaking
and
of,
I'll tell you what,
yeah,
real quick.
Yes.
These conferences need to get away from the East and West, North and South. Take the best two teams. That's what people are doing. We'd see Ohio State and Michigan playing again next Saturday. That'd be great.
Yeah, it definitely would be great. Be great to see Michigan, of course, again in a family affair, to see Jim Harbaugh beat Ohio State once again. We'll see if that happens. With that being said, in consideration, Deion Sanders' name has come up for USF. How much of a probability? If you're USF, you talk to them. Do you think that's a good choice, Leo, for them to go for a coach like that, who's went 26-5 and has proven himself in the 3 years at Jackson State?
Be a great choice because he's bringing his kid at quarterback. So,
right.
Yeah, that would be huge. And again, guys, I hate to throw a USF under the bus, but get rid of those damn lime green uniforms. That was terrible.
The slime green. You didn't like the slime green? They played.
Oh, my Lord.
On Saturday night, but I don't know about those uniforms either. I don't know, but we'll see who's the next coach. There's talk of the Colts.
As long as it's not John Gruden, that would be the biggest mistake.
Not John Gruden. I mean, what about Willie Taggart? Are you in favor of Willie Taggart? He just got fired. Would you
kidding, bro? Really?
I'm just saying. There's USF fans out there that are clamoring for Willie Taggart.
Willie Taggart will never be another head coach again. His head coaching days are over. Never.
You may be right about that one. I tell you what. How about Cadillac Williams? Nobody's talked about that. I think Cadillac would be a good choice.
And Hugh Freeze just got the job today, so that eliminates that job. Of course, not only USF talking to Deion Sanders, and he acknowledged that today, but also Colorado. USF, Leo, in your opinion, and Jason, you can comment afterwards. Where would you go if you're Deion? I mean, Deion's from here. He's from Fort Myers. He knows the state of Florida. This is the hotbed of talent. Colorado, maybe a little bit more money. Am I missing something here? Why choose Colorado over USF? What's the better choice in your opinion, Leo?
Well, that's Peter, that's a great question. Again, you're in a Power 5 conference at Colorado, but that's going to be a big turnaround. USF, look at Tulane. They go from nowhere to top.
Yeah.
All you got to do is get a couple players in on offense, a couple players on defense, and just all you got to win next year is 4 or 5 games. That'll keep everybody happy.
Yeah, Justin mentions it. Cadillac Williams to USF. Jason, what do you think? Deion to Colorado or Deion to USF? What's the better choice in your opinion?
He may not go to either place, to be honest with you. He may take another year to wait for the prime Power 5 job. I don't think he goes to Colorado because I don't think Colorado has a great reputation for the African-American population. If you've ever seen the documentary on back in the day with Bill McCartney, that is not the most racially diverse community of Boulder, to be honest with you. So I'm not sure he would go there. He would have the ability to get from an NIL perspective and from a transfer perspective, a lot of guys to come to South Florida with his roots in Fort Myers, obviously Tallahassee, the state of Florida. I think he would be an opportunity. I'm surprised he's not been mentioned for the Georgia Tech job, who sounds like they're going to hire Willie Fritz at Tulane. But I thought with his connections in Atlanta, he might be a nice fit at Georgia Tech, to be honest with you.
You're hiring the coach, Leo. You're in charge of this. What are you looking for at the end of the day? We talk about recruiting, but what else? You've been a part of this. You've been in been a scout and a coach. I mean, what are you looking for if you get the opportunity to hire somebody for USF?
Peter, the whole environment has changed in college with NIL and the transfer portal. Coach Chris got out at Wisconsin basically because I can't do this. I can't deal with trying to recruit my players, and once I get them, trying to keep them here because they're going to jump in the transfer portal if they don't play. So, yeah, I got to get somebody who not only knows how to coach, but also knows how to navigate through the NIL and the transfer portal. And Get alumni excited.
Scott Frost.
What about Scott Frost, Leo? I mean, he turned around UCF. Of course, it was a disaster in Nebraska because it was his dream job. It always says he can't return home, right? So Scott Frost, being USF coach, do you like that move?
It would have been good if he won the UCF. That's the biggest problem.
Well, I mean, definitely that rivalry is not going to be happening anymore until about 5 years because now UCF is going to the Big 12. Leo, thanks a lot for your time. Go ahead and just have some final words here for the sports web because I know the web heads missed you.
Well, I'll tell you what, Peter, I'm planning on Monday night being with you, and hopefully my voice holds out a little longer next week, and I'll keep you informed as to what's going on.
All right, there you go. Former Coach Scott and now media member.
Keep it up, Leo. Great job, buddy.
Absolutely legend.
Thanks,
Mr.
Jake.
Haggerty.
Talk to you guys later.
We are here. We are absolutely here for you, my friend. All right.
All right. Take care.
Take care. There we go. Right there. The legend, Mr. Leo Haggerty, coming on. Jeremiah, yes, he will get healthy. He's coming on. He's a warrior. He wanted to come on the sports web and he wanted to talk to you guys. So we'll talk to you guys for a little bit more and then we'll get off. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let's go around the NFL. How'd you do with your NFL picks this week? I went 13-2 because I listened to the Greek. How about yourself?
I mean, obviously I thought the Bucs blew it. There weren't very many ups. I mean, obviously the Jacksonville game was probably the biggest record upset I would think from a record perspective. That's always a tricky game to play in Jacksonville. You say what you want. The Ravens are not a team that are blowing teams out. They're having all kind of fourth quarter problems, and that defense has not been great in the fourth quarter, blowing leads. So I was surprised. I think you look at the NFC. I think the Thanksgiving Day games were really good. I thought all three games were competitive. Good kudos to Minnesota to get through. Kudos to Detroit with taking Buffalo to the wire. Again, another time management issue. I think Detroit did a terrible job with time management there in the last 30 seconds of the fourth quarter. You throw a 3rd and 1 home run ball for the game-winning touchdown instead of getting the first down, which would have guaranteed overtime at the worst. I didn't like the clock management there in Detroit, but I'm with you. I thought Harry the Greek made a great point about Mike White and the Jets. I thought they were going to take care of business yesterday, and they did. And again, you're starting to see the better teams rise to the top. I think in December, you're going to see the better teams that have stuff to play for are going to play better than the teams that are out of it. And, the Houstons of the world. I mean, it's just that's a train wreck.
I feel like Zach Wilson is toast, and I tell you why, because Jay Glazer mentioned it yesterday. He's lost confidence. It certainly seems like the Jets organization has lost confidence. And I said this on the over-under a couple weeks ago. The best chance for the Jets to actually make somewhat of a playoff run or make the playoffs, because they are in playoff contention, is to either go with Mike White or Joe Flacco. And White yesterday didn't disappoint. 22 for 28. 3 touchdowns, 315 yards. They got the young playmakers involved who have been out. Garrett Wilson, who has talked about how practice some guys are not performing. I think that's a direct shot at Wilson. And also Elijah Moore, who has been a man on a milk carton. Yeah. So the Jets, in your opinion, they made the right decision to go with Mike White. Going forward, can this Jets team be a legitimate playoff contender, in your opinion?
Yes, because I heard a good stat today. First of all, Mike White was a former USF Bull at one time, by the way. If you didn't know that.
Yes, he was.
Played at USF before he went to Western Kentucky. 2, the Jets haven't lost a game this year when they've scored 17 or more points. So you don't need Patrick Mahomes back there. You need a professional, a Jimmy Garoppolo, Kirk Cousins. To me, that's a great comparison to Mike White as a young man, a young Garoppolo, a young Kirk Cousins kind of guy. Not the most physical, not the greatest physical skills in the world, but is smart, knows, does what he's good at. They can open up the offense. They can run some bootlegs. He makes the right throw. He'll throw it away. He'll punt when he needs to punt. He's not going to jam the ball in places the ball doesn't need to go. So I think Mike White is just a guy who's going to be a game manager. And if you're the Jets, if you can score 21 points, you lean on that defense to try to get you to the promised land. Again, the Jets aren't going to the Super Bowl, but the Jets can be a pain in the neck in the AFC playoff picture.
Absolutely. And we remember the Jets some years ago with Mark Sanchez, being a DLG quarterback, depending on that run game, which they got production yesterday. And once again, not turning over the ball, playing great defense and causing some turnovers. You never know what can happen. Of course, the Packers lose to the Philadelphia Eagles. Aaron Rodgers goes out of this game. Jordan Love comes in. He goes 6 for 9, 113 yards, including a 63-yard catch and run to Christian Watson. This seems like a future connection. With the Packers record right now, seemingly being out of contention in the NFC, should they go with Jordan Love and bench Aaron Rodgers, in your opinion?
I would not bench Aaron Rodgers, but I would figure out a way to not play Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers ain't playing this week. I don't care what he says. With that kind of injury, if you've got a rib issue, that doesn't get fixed in a week. I don't think Aaron Rodgers, by any chance in the world, he plays this week. Now, I think you give Rodgers a minimum of 2 weeks off. And again, in 2 or 3 weeks, if he's fully healthy, he's probably going to play because he's going to demand to play. But this is a good opportunity, I think, for Jordan Love these next couple of weeks. I think he's guaranteed to play this week. I don't care what Aaron Rodgers said last night and today. Rodgers ain't playing this week, in my opinion. And again, you're not going to bench Aaron Rodgers. I don't think you're going to do that, but you're going to find ways to get Jordan Love these couple games. You've got an opportunity here with a quote unquote injury to get him a couple games at minimum. And maybe this turns into a 3 or 4 week situation. And maybe it turns into the rest of the year. And Aaron Rodgers says, you know what? I'll be back next year. This is their chance to showcase Jordan Love and potentially trade him. Because if you're the Green Bay Packers, wouldn't you rather be 5-12 as opposed to 7-10? If Aaron Rodgers plays, that's a big jump in the draft. And that's going to improve your draft stock. And you're going to get an opportunity to potentially see Jordan Love play for 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, and that's what you got to do. You got to figure out if he's going to be your quarterback going forward. You would assume so with all the controversy with Rodgers and Love. But once again, Rodgers signed that big-time contract, $50 million. So I don't know if he's going to be going anywhere now.
And I'll say this.
Right.
I'm going to say this right here on the web. If Aaron Rodgers isn't in Green Bay next year, Tampa, here he comes. Because the Bucs, no, seriously, the Bucs still have the offensive firepower. They'll trade 2 number 1 picks if they think they can get Aaron Rodgers for the next 3 years. If he's committed to playing, if Tom Brady indeed walks out the door, I still don't think we're going to Kyle Trask.
Right. I don't think so either. I
think they would make a big run and say, here, you want 2 number 1s? Go ahead, take them. Aaron Rodgers coming to town. Remember, Green Bay's going to take the majority of the hit on the contract. The signing bonus stuff and all that stuff, that's going to be in Green Bay's ledger to have to deal with. The Bucs are still going to have to pay Rodgers his salary for the year, but as far as the dead cap money and all that, that's going to be a Green Bay problem, not a Tampa Bay problem. Tampa Bay's just going to have to pay what's owed to him left on the deal from a salary perspective, not all the salary cap signing bonus implications. Tampa, don't be surprised. Warm weather. You still got Godwin and Evans. You got a decent offensive line. The Bucs are not going into a full rebuild next year, in my opinion.
No, I don't think so either. But the cap troubles definitely are there. Possibly over $40 million in cap. We know that Jason Light and all those over there in that Buccaneer organization do a hell of a job of cleaning up the cap and figuring it out. We'll see how that works out, but it's certainly a possibility. Here's another player that a lot of Bucs fans want to go after, this organization to go after. That would be Lamar Jackson. 16 for 32, 254, 1 touchdown, but lost yesterday. Once again, the defense being the hindrance, if you will, but that wasn't necessarily the story. In fact, after the game, this is why I feel like athletes shouldn't tweet out when someone was asking him for over $250 million. Games like this should not come down to Justin Tucker, who missed a field goal. I believe it was like 67 yards to win the game. He missed it. Let Lamar walk and spend that money on a well-rounded team. Of course, the tweeter tweeted out, and then Jackson responded in a way of, boy, STFU, y'all be capping too much on this app. MF never smelled a football field, never did. But Jackson responded to the fan. Of course, now Jackson's just being killed in the media for anti-gay. Just not comments you make at any time. And this is why, media, when you're credentialed, they have you not going to the locker room for 15 to 30 minutes because the athletes are still upset and angry. And I feel like some of these athletes should take that advice and not tweet out because, of course, there's going to be trolls out there. There's going to be fans out there that are going to try to get at that athlete. And, of course, that athlete is putting himself in that position where controversy like this happens. Your thoughts?
First of all, Baltimore's not getting rid of Lamar Jackson. So let's forget that. That ain't happening.
Okay.
They'll either franchise him or get him signed long term. Again, they'll debate what the dollars are, but Lamar Jackson's not going to be an available quarterback on the free agent market. So let's stop that talk. That's just not happening. That doesn't happen in the NFL. 2, you're right. Lamar needs to pipe down on social media. That does nothing but hurt his brand, hurt him. I mean, when you make those kind of comments and use the vulgar language that he did, apparently, that's just nothing that's going to be positive for you. And eventually you're going to say the wrong thing and the NFL is going to get involved and either suspend them, fine them significantly, or both. So, same with the whole OBJ thing yesterday.
What is that all about?
Put your seatbelt on, bro.
Yeah.
If you're drunk, if you're tired, that's fine. Do that. Sleep all you want. Take the 1 second and buckle your seatbelt and it's over. There's no other issue. Buckle your damn seatbelt.
He's escorted off the plane. He's unconscious, semi-unconscious. I mean, who knows what's going on with that? And supposedly he's supposed to sign with the Dallas Cowboys, so it'll fit right in. John Harbaugh had this to say about Lamar Jackson in his comments. I just beg guys to not get into the Twitter world right after the game, especially after a loss. It's never going to be positive. It's not going to be a nice place, the kind of reflected in Lamar's response because that's not the way he speaks. It's not the way he talks. It's not the words he ever uses. I've never heard him say things like that before. He goes on to say, Lamar Jackson, you've been around him. He's got one of the biggest hearts of anybody I know. You all have seen him, the way he treats people, the way he treats kids, the way he treats the media, and he also is one of the biggest competitors I've ever met. So those kind of conversations he takes very seriously. You get trapped sometimes by someone that's baiting you just a little bit, and you can't live there. I think that's not a place he wants to be, and that's certainly not things that he wants to stay. With that being said.
That doesn't exonerate him.
Right.
You need to be under the same standard because if offensive lineman X picked the team or wide receiver X picked the team, said that, there would be some blowback by some people on the other side of the argument.
Right.
You don't get to excuse yourself. Well, it was the heat of the moment. I didn't mean to say it. You said it. You can't. Yeah. You don't get to take them. You don't get to take it back.
Said
it, and like Herm Edwards said, don't hit send.
That's it. Don't hit send at the end of the day. And I wonder if the NFL.
And if you do, you deserve to pay the price. You got to pay the piper.
With the piper being Roger Goodell in the National Football League, how they don't like the bad press. Is this grounds for suspension in your opinion? Could you see the NFL with the controversy going on right now for him to be suspended? As crazy as it sounds, could you see him being suspended for a couple games?
No, but I would nail him for $100,000.
Right. I'm just wondering. Speaking of blowback, Deshaun Watson returns this week to the Cleveland Browns. He's going to be visiting Houston. How do you think the opposing fans are going to treat him? Does this become a story where the NFL doesn't want to be a part of it?
That's going to be an interesting situation. It'd be interesting to see what that crowd is in Houston. Obviously, the Texans are the worst team in the league. I mean, they're going to be some blowback too there. You're going to see some. I guarantee you'll see some people picketing outside of that stadium on Sunday. I think it'll be very, very interesting to see what the reaction is to Deshaun Watson when his name gets announced. 1st and 10 at the 25-yard line or whatever it is when he trots out there. I think that's going to be a very, very interesting situation.
All right, and then finally we'll cap it off here, if you will. We're on with Jason Powers on Sports Podcast, No Quarter Given podcast on the BuckPower.com network, which we're going to.
You better come strong now.
I'm coming strong. I'm coming strong. But Rondé Barber was named one of the 28 semifinalists for the Hall of Fame class of 2023. Of course, Barber has been passed up here the last 6 years. His claim to fame, 43 sacks, of course, not 43 sacks. 40 interceptions, 25 sacks, over 20 sacks in his career. In your opinion, does he get in, and should he belong into the Hall of Fame, in your opinion?
He's going to get in eventually. Whether he gets in, I'd have to look at to see what the list is of who's on the list this year. He'll get in eventually. I think, again, without seeing the list in front of me, because remember they only take 7, so they only they typically don't take more than one at a certain position. Because I think isn't Palomalu up this year?
I believe so.
He'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer. In the likelihood that they take 2 DBs. Sometimes they don't like to take more than one at a position, kind of thing. And I know he's a safety, not a corner. I get it, but I'd have to see the full list. But Palomalu's getting in. I think he's up. Is Reggie Wayne up? A guy like him, he might be up.
Right. I mean, there's definitely a list. I believe Darrelle Revis, former Tampa Bay.
Revis is getting in first ballot. So, again, that hurts Rondé this year. Rondé will get in time. He'll get in a year where there's a light DB class of warranted guys. He may not get in this year, but he'll get it. He'll get in the next 3 to 5 years at the latest.
Here's the reason why he should get in this year. Check out these numbers. Of course, 3rd-round pick for the Bucs in 1997 out of Virginia. He spent his entire NFL career in Tampa, setting franchise records for games played, 241 games started, 232 interceptions, 47 defensive touchdowns, 14. Yep. Of course, the classic one in the NFC Championship game versus the Philadelphia Eagles. He started 215 consecutive games to end his career, including an NFL record, Jason Powers, 200 straight at cornerback. Barber is the only player in league history to record at least 45 interceptions and at least 25 sacks. Enough of the nonsense. At the end of the day, he needs to be in the Hall of Fame. I don't care if he's a system corner. You can call every player in football history a system player. Jerry Rice was a system wide receiver. It's called the West Coast offense. Joe Montana was a system quarterback because he played in the West Coast offense. What are we talking about?
But I would say at that position of corner, one of the measuring sticks is, can you lock a guy up man to man? And that was not Rondé's strength. Again, he was always around the ball, which was great. Again, maybe a part of a product of the defense. I get it. He's a hell of a player, and I think he'll get in. But he's not a surefire. He's not a surefire Hall of Famer for everybody. That's the debate. That's why he's not in yet. I think he'll eventually get enough votes to get in. But he's not a guy you think when you think Hall of Famer absolute. You don't think Rondé Barber. And I know there's other guys that we think the same thing about at other positions, but when you think cornerback, he didn't have the skill set of a lockdown corner. He didn't run 4.4, but he was a ball hawk, and give him credit for that. He was always around the ball, and when he did get the ball, he scored an awful lot, which was another great thing for Rondé Barber.
Honestly, if he talked a little bit more and maybe played man-on-man coverage, this wouldn't be a conversation. But at the end of the day, he went about his business as a true professional.
Hell of a player.
Yep, one of the best in Tampa Bay Buccaneers of all time. Never forget it. Probably the best Tampa Bay sports play in history. But besides, of course, the Bucs and Brady in 2020. All right, go ahead, promote yourself here, Mr. Jason Powers, here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, my friend.
All right, Powers on Sports Podcast, Florida Football Insiders Podcast. Only got 1 or 2 episodes left there. We talk to Coach Jim Leavitt every week. We talked to him today. Podcast will be coming out Wednesday night. We talked about the coaching carousel, all kind of things. What goes into a coaching hire? What are these assistant coaches thinking during all this stuff? So we're talking to him. We're talking to the new voices of the Florida Gators, Sean Kelly, and the new voice of the Florida State Seminoles, Jeff Culhane, taking over for the legendary Gene Deckerhoff. We're going to have we're talking World Cup as well on the Powers on Sports podcast. We're talking with you, No Quarter Given here. We're going to be having out this probably tomorrow or Wednesday morning for the No Quarter Given. So lots of options. Hit that subscribe button. The podcast will come right to your device every week. And again, Peter and I, we're trying to provide great content for you on a weekly basis.
Absolutely, Mr. Jason Powers. Powers on Sports Podcast, No Quarter Given Podcast. Check it out on buckpower.com.
And
yes,
I'm traveling down to Venice Friday night, Venice, Florida. Breaking news.
Really?
To call the state semifinals of high school football.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I got selected today.
Don't mess up. Don't be that ref that misses that call like the refs have been doing against the Bucs, all right? Don't be that guy.
I'm the guy that fixes it.
All right.
I get it right.
You be the fixer. You get it right. We get it right here on The Evolution. Thanks a lot for your time, Jason Powers, my tag team partner of the world. All right, my friend?
You got it, buddy. See ya. All
right, see you, brother. There you go, right there, Jason Powers. Let's read the rest of these comments, and we'll get the hell out of here on this. I want to say Victory Monday so bad, but again, it is a victory because we're all here together. We're all healthy. Even Mr. Leo Haggerty coming on was just amazing in itself. And if you can't get inspired by that, man, I don't know. I don't know what I can do for you. Guys dealing with radiation, dealing with throat cancer, and he comes on my show to talk to you. That's amazing in itself. We'll read the rest of these comments and get out of here. Thanks. Absolutely. Thank you, Leo. Free Watson. Enough of that nonsense.
Shut up!
And of course, my future agent right there, my beautiful mother, says, you're very welcome. You're one of the best. She's talking to Leo Haggerty as she should. So thanks to all the guests for the night. Mr. Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire, 1252 Chicago Sports. Of course, Jason Powers, Powers on Sports Podcast, and the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty, former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions, Amped Up Sports. Guys, thanks a lot for everything. Like and subscribe to the Sports Web on YouTube. Of course, give to the cause there. Facebook Stars, definitely one of our newest sponsors here. If you want to wager, just saying youwager.lv, promo code SportsWeb, 80% bonus. You can't win if you don't play. You can't win if you don't play. Youwager.lv, promo code SportsWeb. And of course, like I love St. Pete, the Hub, and Amped Up Sports, and like this. 3 things. Bring your passion. Bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake, your Rolex reporter. What time is it? It's my time. And Bucs fans, it's your time. Have a great night.
youwager.lv, sportsbook, and casino. Sign up today at youwager.lv, the premier online sportsbook, taking wagers since 1998. The most player-friendly lines, weekly juice specials, and a true dime line in MLB. Unique casino platforms with thousands of games. Play poker, high stakes, low stakes, or tournament play. youwager.lv, what we offer. Free same-day payouts. Customer service and wagering support, 24/7, year-round. Free monthly rebates on your action and daily casino rebates. Contests, free bets, best bonuses, and giveaways. Generous referral program. Get an 80% free play bonus on your first deposit, up to $1,000. Sign up today, and use promo code SportsWeb. Remember, you can't win if you don't play.